So today we'll see real applications of Zendesk Copilot, orchestrating complex and repetitive service processes. And the webinar is brought to you by 3 great partners. So first of all, it's NextMatter, the enterprise workflow engine for Zendesk. Premium Plus, Zendesk EMEA Partner of the Year. It's a team with experts at maximizing your Zendesk investment, and in this case, your AI investment. And Zendesk, of course, the #1 service platform, integrating human expertise with innovative AI, so you can deliver exceptional support to every customer or employee. Cool. With this, we already have actually quite a lot of people, and it's already 1 minute past. So I'd like to kickstart the webinar. I just got one comment that you can't hear my voice. Can you hear me well? Okay, perfect. All right. So first of all, I'm moderating today. We've got Michael Kwan. Michael was one of the 2 on that hackathon. We've got Thomas. Thomas is a senior solutions architect at Premium Plus. And if you haven't seen his blog, Internal Note, make sure that you follow it. This is where I saw the latest updates on Copilot. And this is why we jumped on the whole hackathon at the very beginning. And we're very pleased to have also Mark Voigt from Zendesk, a solution consultant who brings a lot of big wealth of experience from working with Zendesk customers. Quick hello from all of you. Michael, you go first, and then we kickstart.
Hey everyone, lovely to meet you, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity today to be able to show you the back end of how we build our use case together. Looking forward to connecting with all of you and also answering your questions. Thank you.
All right, Thomas.
Hi everyone, looking forward to demo Copilot in an actual use case to you guys today. Let's go to Aljon.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. And I will guide you through the use cases, give you a little bit more of context, and really looking forward to it.
All right, sounds good. Let's do this. So Mark, I'll carry on with the slides for a bit, but the microphone is on you.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's start with a real use case. And it looks so simple because we have on the one side Liz, our customer. On the other side is Chris, an agent. And Liz got married and want to change her name at a bank account. Looks so simple. And Liz, you see it, she's lying on the sofa, relaxing, and say, okay, that would be an easy one to change my name. But you know it, it's not so simple as it seems. We have a financial service bank in the background, an enterprise customer, and a very complex setting. That means 8 million customers in 17 countries. We have a lot of regulatory requirements. We have multiple bank systems in the background to update. And we have the ongoing customer documentation. It would be nice, it would be very interesting to see how Liz and Chris do here. And we will see it in a few minutes in our live demo. But before we go to before we go to the use case, I have another use case for you. You can go to next slide. It's about a refund. Also, we have our customer Liz on the one side, also Chris on the other side is our agent, and Liz received a damaged sofa. And you know it, normally she's relaxing on the sofa at the moment. She's a little bit upset because she's annoyed that her new sofa is damaged. And now she wants to refund the whole sofa. Here, it also looks very simple, but Liz already had a few contacts to other retailers, and it was not so smooth. That means it took a long time to refund a sofa and to took your money back. In this case, we have also a retail company, a big retail company. They are selling 3 million products a year in over 35 countries. And typically in such a retail company, they have tight SLAs. In this case, we want to refund it in only a few days and not weeks. And that's very important here. We have a strong SLA focus on this use case. And we will also see how it will work in our use case. You see that 50% of this ticket can be solved by humans and AI independently. That's easy. I think the customer thought it was 100%, but that's not right, because the other 50% is the complex one. And here we need the logic and the integrations into the background. And here we see it in the middle. Zendesk and NextMatter will provide a good solution to help the AI and also help the agents to connect with teams, systems, partners, or customers. That's very important when we dive into the use cases. Let's focus on the first one. You know, Liz got married and asked her bank to change her name. That's an easy one. She submit the request via email in this case. The next thing is that Zendesk Agent Copilot will work in the background, suggest an action, and provide it to the agent. That means in the background, we defined like a procedure. It's similar to a procedure for an agent. But here you have your supporter in the background. And the agent and the human agent and the agent copilot will work smoothly together to act in this ticket. Zendesk Agent Copilot will trigger a workflow in NextMatter because we talked about it. It's not so easy to change the name in the financial service environment. We have a lot of regulations, always talking about KYC processes and so on. Liz will get, and that's very smart because we will see it, she can relax on the sofa and can answer and submit proofs to her name changing. After that, we can forward the workflow to the compliance team to approve the request and to going further. We also talked about systems. We have to update the back office systems in the background, also triggered by our workflow. And at the end, we see always Liz relaxing on the sofa. She changed her name and she's still relaxed. I will now hand over to Thomas that you can see how it looks like in the system. And we will also have a few deep dives afterwards.
Okay, let's start this demo. So we have Liz. He sent an email to the bank in order to change her name. What we see here is a system picking up that ticket and automatically detecting that this is a name change. And we detect an order number or account number. And the system, Copilot, will offer the agent the ability to start a workflow in NextMatter to change the request. The agent just has to click approve. Is still in control. If it's the wrong action, we change it. But by clicking approve, we start a workflow in NextMatter. This workflow will do a couple of things. One of them, it will send a message to Liz to let her know that we started the process. And she will also get an automated email to submit her identity papers and more information about the request. This all happens automatically, so the agent just clicks once, and you see a lot of the steps in the workflow get started. So we link it to the ticket, we send the verification email, and now we're waiting for Liz to upload the required information before we can move forward. Liz gets that email, of course, and when she clicks on the link, she goes to a portal from NextMatter where she can upload the information. What's nice to see here is that even without the agent manually copying and pasting data, we've picked up her name, her email address, her account number, and her new name that she wants, all from the context of the email. It's pre-filled on the form. So all Liz has to do is upload her certificate, of course, sign with a signature to let know it's valid, and then we submit it. But all the manual copy and pasting of information between systems has been handled by Copilot, entity detection, and the workflows in Next Matter. Liz has now submitted the ticket. Of course, the agent can't really do anything yet. We need to wait for the compliance team to validate the information. And without the agent even having access to the personal information, the documents of Liz, you can clearly see that we're now waiting for the compliance team. So privacy and all is still arranged. The agent just sees the workflow, and the compliance team, they see all the information they need to validate that request. So there's a nice distinction there between all the information. Now we're looking at the workflow from the compliance team's view. So this is Petro from the compliance team, and he sees that same context. So the account number, the date of birth, the old and the new name, all the certificates that she uploaded, all safely stored, and he sees the signature, and he can choose to either approve or decline the request. By approving it, that decision, of course, logged, because this is a change. You need to know who made that change. And all the next steps of the process will also be handled automatically. So we get an internal note noting that the automation team is looking at it. Once Petro approves the identity change, we jump into what we call a verified branch, meaning we know that it's okay. We send an email to Elizabeth letting her know everything's been updated and the ticket's been solved. So the agent themselves are only there at the start of the process to start the flow. If, of course, Liz emails, they can intercept and reply with more information. But what's nice to see is that even the placeholder name has now been changed to Liz Smith, her new name. So right from the get-go, Liz knows that it's not only validated, but she gets confirmation that it's actually there. And while we approve it and send her an email, we also update it in the backend system, of course, to run it. So that's one flow on how we can automate that process in Copilot together with Next Matter. If you now dive into Zendesk itself, well, we see that same ticket. So you see that Zendesk picked up on the name change intent through the intelligent triage, and we see all the messages coming into the system. From Liz's point of view, this is just a conversation she has with an agent with very quick and good responses. On our side, we see the Copilot or the agent or Next Matter replied, so we have a nice overview of what happened there. The way it works is basically a three-part process. So one, we of course have advanced AI, Agent Copilot enabled for our groups. This makes sure that the system starts looking for, in this case, procedures and map them. And then there's two nice things we need to do. One of them, we need to write a procedure in Zendesk. Procedure is nothing too technical. It's just human readable text that explains the next steps that an agent needs to take. In a traditional flow without AI, this would be your guidebook for your agents, describing all the steps the agent needs to do. In an AI Copilot world, this is basically instructing the Copilot to say, well, you can only move forward if you have an account number. If you don't have an account number, please ask it. In our case, Liz, very good customer, provides the information, so we immediately go to the next step. If she hadn't written that text, Copilot would basically say, hey, Liz, would love to change your name, but we need your account number for that. So that assistance for the agent of validating all the required info happens automatically. Once we have the required information, we can start our action, in our case, Next Matter. And that happens via what we call an action, which is basically an API call we execute within Zendesk. Here, there is some technical work to be done because it's an API, luckily all nicely documented. But the nice thing is that where previously we would need to detect the information and make variables and do API work, with Copilot, we can do that basically codeless. So if we need the account number, the only thing we need to do is to create an input that says, well, this is the account number. And Copilot will go looking into text for the account number. In a more realistic scenario, you might say account numbers are 10 digits, maybe, and then we can also validate that. Same for the name, same for the email. We just list what we need for the process. We send that to Next Matter, and then the entire process starts automatically. And from the agent point of view, basically, there is a button here that says start or execute action, and all the rest happens automatically. This is one setup. We'll see a second demo in a moment. Now I hand it to Michael for the next matters part.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for showing what's happening on the Zendesk side. I'll pick up very seamlessly what happens on the next matter side. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So when we receive the data from Zendesk, we'll launch a workflow that looks like this. This is our next matter visual workflow editor, which is a drag and drop interface that allows you to drag and drop any new steps into next matter, to confirm, for example, any to edit any kinds of confirmation notes, for example, or even customer facing and non-customer facing steps. So all of that can be edited in this editor. Let me show you how we receive the data from Zendesk. Now, Zendesk sends an API call, a webhook to next matter. And this is how we receive the data from Zendesk, as Thomas has shown you. Agent Copilot is smart enough to put together this API call, sends it to us, and we map it to certain values, certain variables in next matter. Then we carry out a number of automatic steps, which is we read the data from the ticket that we have just received, and we get all of this information, the requester name, email, custom fields, ticket ID. You can literally pull every kind of data from Zendesk based on the ticket ID and what you have configured in there. We'll link the Zendesk ticket to the next matter instance so that it shows up nicely in the sidebar, in the Zendesk next matter sidebar that you have seen. And we send a verification link to the user. This is also what you've seen. So the Zendesk action in next matter is very easy to configure. It's entirely no code. So if you go here into the settings and you need to change the text, for example, or you need to reference any variables, you can do that in here as well. Going further, if you, for example, have a user-facing form, such as the verification form, you can adjust it here as well. So you see also this is drag and drop, and you see that we're pre-filling all the data that we've gotten from Zendesk, which is what you've seen in the demo. Furthermore, it's very easy to edit the options, for example. So for example, if you're getting a new credit card or a new debit card, you might want to have a new color. And let's say we're updating the color range that we're displaying. So this is very easy. You go ahead and enter the new color. For example, who doesn't want to have a black credit card, right? You save it, and then you have a new option already. Once I publish the new workflow, this will be live for all the future customer requests, right? And let's say we go down here into the branching, or we go into the customer has been verified, and let's say we need to have a new API call. You can very easily drag and drop a new custom integration in here. And next matter is really powerful. We integrate with any standard REST APIs. So you can go ahead and configure your custom API request in here. If you've ever worked with similar tools that allow you to set up your own REST API requests, this gives you full customization options on top of our pre-made templates and pre-made integrations that we have here in next matter. You see it's quite a lot, right? So this is a very, very quick overview of how we have built this use case. And I'm very curious to answer some of your questions. And when we go into the next use case, I'll be able to showcase you even more functions such as SLAs, escalation paths, so on and so forth. But I'll just keep it short and simple until now. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. And I'm sure that you folks have a lot of questions. We're going to have a lot of time after the second use case that Mark is going to take us through. So you can already start sending your questions on Q&A. We're organizing the questions so that we make sure everything gets answered. And at the end, as I said, we're going to have a lot of time for live Q&A. But start sending your questions so that we organize them. Cool, let's go.
Yeah, let's go to the second use case. We saw the power of Zendesk and also Next Matter in combination for our first financial use case. Now we will dive into a retail use case. Our customer Liz, we saw it at the beginning, laying on the sofa, relaxing, but the new sofa is damaged. And she wants to refund the whole order in this case. Here we see Chris on the other side is not so relaxed because it's also a very complex flow in the background. That means we have a lot of orchestration. We have this tight SLAs because most of the refund requests missed the SLAs in the case of a refund. That's typical in our customer environments. And the main question here is, can agents and AI solve this independently? And we saw it in our first use case, 50% yes, 50% no. But let's have a look how we can make it simple for the customer and for the agents. Same starting point, Liz submits a request, in this case from an email. Then the copilot will retrieve the order number because Liz only send a request to, okay, refund the order. That means the copilot will look will ask the Liz again, and Liz has to enter the order number again. After that, the copilot will also work again, suggest an action, starting a Next Matter flow in this case, and then the process will start from this point. That's very important because now we can work with the Next Matter flows to easily provide Liz tasks and safe environment to upload photos and so on. We also integrate to other systems. Here in this case, like SAP, we check the order data and route the claim in this case. After that, Liz also has to submit a proof, maybe a photo of the damaged sofa. Like in the first use case, we need an approval and a decision based on the photo, based on the decision from Liz. Is it a full refund or should we send a new sofa to her? In this case, we refund the issued completely and don't send another sofa to her. We updated the back office system in the background, and it looks so easy because we have the agent on the other side, and the one side, the AI on the other side, and in between is the magic workflow with Next Matter.
So, demo time. In this demo, as Mark told us, Lisa sent an email about her damaged sofa, and she sent it to Zendesk requesting a refund. Once again, gets picked up by Copilot, detects the intent, and we suggest the next action. In this case, we can't start yet with our workflow because we need an order number. So here we see Copilot suggesting a reply to the agent to be sent to Liz to ask her for an order number. If she had sent that order number, then we wouldn't ask you to immediately offer the next step. If she hadn't mentioned the product name or the type of damage, then we could also request that. Now that we have all the information, order number, product type, etc., we can start our workflow in Next Matter by clicking the action button, approving it, and similar as a previous demo, we will start a process in Next Matter, and we also inform the agent on the ticket what happened. With refund processes, because it can take a little while, keeping people up to date on what's happening is important, especially if you don't want to have the back and forth with the customer about, do you have an update yet? Do you have an update yet? Do you have an update yet? So what we did in our first step is the moment we start the process, we send an email to Liz saying, here's the URL. If you click on it, you can see the status of your request. So similar to how the agent can see what's going on, she also has a customer-facing view that says, well, basically, we've started the process. So she's aware, she knows what's going on. When we do that request, since we have the order number, we can make a call to SAP or another order system, and we pull in all the information the agent needs to validate this flow. So we can see the product, we can see the warranty status. We also know what the issue is. It's been clearly written in the email. Copilot can pick it up and pass it to next matter. So all the information is there, and we can choose to execute a refund request. The agent completes it, and now we start with that flow. Of course, we can't refund anything unless we know that the sofa is indeed damaged. So first thing we do is an automatic email to Liz asking her for a photo of that sofa. Liz gets an email and she can submit a form. Important here, if she had sent an image in the first email, we could pick that up in our flow and then just not ask the information again. In this case, she needs to upload it. We provide all the context, the order number, her email address, etc. And she uploads a picture of the damaged sofa. And of course, she gets confirmation that everything is well. Here too, basically for the agent, except for like starting the process, he doesn't really need to do anything. Validating refunds is done by a different team. So once again, we're in the workflow backend where Petro this time again goes into the task and he validates the upload information from Liz. The agent and Liz in that status board will also see that Petro has started looking at it. So they get an email like, hey, it's in process. They can see the information. Petro inspects the sofa, clearly damaged. So he executes a refund. He could also decline it. That would send another email to the agent to handle it. But in this case, we approve it and everybody's happy. Approving it does a couple of things. One of them, of course, email to Liz telling her, hey, the refund's been executed. With the additional context, please wait 5 days before you get your money. So she doesn't start looking at her bank account immediately. And that email gets sent to Liz and she has all the information she needs and she's happy she'll get her money back. In the backend, we also did a couple of different things. We connected to SAP, we executed a refund, we did a lot of API work. Now that's the agent side, that's Liz's side. Now let's dive into Zendesk again to see how we set it up. So here again, you see the email. As you mentioned, the email came in with, I have a damaged sofa and I want a refund. So we have a couple of pieces of information. But the first thing we did is, as shown before, is we have that email that's been written by Copilot for the agent to send out the email. At any time, the agent can always jump in, change the text, and jump out again. So even though it's pre-written text, especially in those first pieces of communication with the customer, tone of voice is important. You can always jump in and tweak the text if you want to. Email comes in, we get the order number from Liz. Now we move forward in the flow until it's been wrapped up with, hey, you got your refund in 5 days. Once again, the intent is being detected, damaged goods, so we know which use case we should use. If you jump into our procedures, we have our refund request procedure. And for the sake of this demo, we've written this quite verbose with next matter sofa refund request. To be honest, if you want to set it up, you could just call this refund request. It will still work. The system is smart enough to map those together, so you don't need to be as explicit if you want to. In our steps, we also go through the flow. So we noted we need an order number. Well, she didn't provide one, so we asked for it. But in step 2, it says we need to ask for the sofa issue. What's the problem with your product? Notable, we didn't ask that to the customer. Why not? It's there in the first line of the email. So Copilot can pick up the content and skip steps where needed because we already have that information there. We run through the process, and then, of course, we execute an action called refund request to handle that in next matter. Now, let's say I don't want to do a refund and exchange, but maybe I also want to offer the option for a coupon. If I just add this line here and I publish, the next time a customer complains about their products and they don't mention a refund, Copilot will say, what do you want, refund, exchange, or a coupon? And it will just write that text. So by just tweaking a few lines of code of text, we can change the behavior of Copilot without code. And of course, we need to integrate with next matter in this flow. So we do the refund request again. And similar to the previous action, what we can do is make an API call to next matter. And in that API call, we have a couple of pieces of information. One of them is, what is the action? And we immediately know if it's a refund or a coupon or something different. Reported issue, what's the issue? And similar as in the previous one, by just writing here, this is the issue, the system will start looking for the issue in the email and will add it to the API call that we make to next matter. So not a lot of code to be written, just a clear list of input and API calls, and that hands it over to next matter, or in our case, to Michael.
Thank you, Thomas. I'll go ahead and share my screen as well and pick up right where you stopped. Talking about API calls, this is the data that we receive from Zendesk over here. And as you see, it's very easy to map this out to variables that you can later on reuse within next matter. Once you have that, we then carry out our usual steps, which is to get any data coming in from Zendesk, to read the data, to get all of the details surrounding the ticket. We'll link the Zendesk ticket to the next matter instance to make sure that it shows up in the sidebar. And also we send a quick confirmation with the public tracking link, right? The public tracker is a built-in feature within next matter that allows the user to see at any time where their request stands. So very, very powerful in the age of Amazon, for example, where people order stuff on their sofa. They get an overview of where their shipment status is. Similarly, we can now give the users a view of where their ticket resolution status is. So very powerful, the public tracker. Next, we look up the order in the database, and the customer support, a different team, in this case, Petro, gets to review the request. And here you can see that we have something interesting called the routing button. And the routing button basically decides if you go to step 4 or to step 5, depending on what's selected here. If somebody says, hey, look, I want to go down the refund route, then you'll go down refund. If you say, I'd like to go down the exchange route, then we skip step 4 and go straight to the exchange route. So very, very powerful. And it's always also possible to add comment fields to make sure that whoever is reviewing this can also needs to justify their decision. So it's auditable later on. Furthermore, what I'd like to show you is escalation paths. So let's say you have certain SLAs that you need to keep to make sure the review request happens on time. So here I can add a deadline. Let's say you have an SLA of 1 hour. 1 hour after our instance has been started, the next metric case has been started, so to say. And if the deadline has passed or on the deadline, I can now escalate this, for example, to Petro. And if he doesn't respond, even let's say 1 hour after the deadline, then I'll go ahead and escalate that even further. Right? So I can escalate that to James, for example, who is Petro's boss. So very, very easy to set multiple escalations, and you can name as many people to escalate things to as you want. So for example, to Philippe, to my colleague Taslo, for example. So it's very easy to add many, many escalation paths. So you can add as many reminders as you would like, right? So this is a very, very powerful feature to make sure that all your SLAs are being kept. So let's say we go down the refund route, then we'll send a verification link to the user, which is what you see here. And this links to this public form where they upload the proof of damaged item. Here you see again our powerful pre-fill feature where all the data is pre-filled that we got from Zendesk. So there's no need for the customer to painfully enter the data again. And the ability to upload the image of the damaged sofa. Additionally, you can also tweak the user experience that you want to give them by adding a completion message, for example. So you can have custom completion messages saying, thank you, we've received your request, and the team member will review it within the next 2 hours, for example. So all of this is fully customizable. Last but not least, when you go down here, I just received a question whether it's possible to integrate with Business Central, for example, instead of, let's say, ChargeBee as the refund management system. So yes, no problem. So we can just pull this one in, Business Central integration, and then we'll be able to set up this one from there. Of course, we'll need to look into your environment, whether your Business Central installation runs on premise, which is when we will need an API gateway, or if it runs in the cloud, then we will need the right authentication methods to make sure that we can talk to it. But in general, this is possible. And when everything is resolved, we'll close the ticket from within NextMatter and confirm that everything has been done correctly. So this is all in all how you can take a very, very complex workflow and model it in NextMatter using our no-code platform editor. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to receiving your questions.
Speaking about questions, we've got actually quite a lot coming. So keep them coming. Use the Q&A function, please. I'm seeing already some are being responded on the thread. We're picking also the most popular ones because we've got the repetitive ones, and then we will post them also live for everyone. But keep the questions coming. So yes, let's talk about the return on investment. Let's talk about all the value from all of these service workflows.
Yeah, happy to pick this up. Thanks, Petro. So if you're ever wondering, now that you've seen how NextMatter and Zendesk together can handle very, very complex cases, if you're ever wondering how much impact NextMatter and Zendesk together can bring to your clients, let's have a look at some of the typical return on investment numbers and KPIs we see in financial services, fintech, and retail. Now, bear in mind, these numbers that you see here, for example, for typical impact we see in financial industries, financial services industries, those are workflows that are currently only enabled by NextMatter and Zendesk without AI, right? They have been achieved without Copilot. They're mainly using our typical financial services customers uses NextMatter to make sure their customer service runs in a compliant way. For example, if your credit cards get stolen and you report it, there's a very tight SLA for what needs to be happening when to make sure that the credit card is disabled. Otherwise, you might be financially also liable for the damages that are being caused, right? So NextMatter makes sure that everything runs smoothly and is being kept within the SLA, while Zendesk is making sure that the customer is always informed. Only with these use cases, we get 80% of manual orchestration automated and making sure that there are 0 fines for violating financial regulations, which is huge. On the next slide, let's have a look at what kind of impact we can get in retail. So we're working, both Zendesk and NextMatter, we're working with Fondorf, which is Germany's largest backpack brand. And on average, retailers that use NextMatter can launch up to 20 processes per quarter, which is huge, and also decrease their resolutions time by 83%. So for Fondorf, for example, they had cases of refunds and returns that used to take 3 weeks because clients were just sending in their backpacks without actually submitting them for pre-inspection. And now that NextMatter is live and they're able to run pre-inspection on these kind of claims, they can cut down the processing time from 3 weeks to 3 days, for example, which is a huge impact. So imagine what's possible if we add another layer of Copilot intelligence on top. So I think that will take our impact that we can achieve to new heights. Thank you so much.
All right, amazing. Thank you, Michael. So what we saw so far today is the two use cases, one on financial services and one on retail. The first one changing a name, something simple, but actually very complex when we're thinking of all the operations from the service side, and also a claim, product claim, which in this case, Liz wanted a refund. What's next? First of all, we want to know the use cases you want to see. We're going to automate more, make small videos, but also meet you, talk to you, understand your processes, and try to create solutions like this. These are just examples. We can create solutions for any of your processes. And we're going to be doing it together with Premium Plus, Next Matter, and Zendesk. So we're going to be following also up with whoever wants with an employee service use case that we've done. We didn't have enough time to do also on this webinar, but we have one more and we'd love to show it to you. So what I want to do first is, first of all, give an opportunity for you all to follow the news from all of us. So I've got a little poll here that I'm gonna launch for you. You can just let us know if you wanna learn more AI tips and tricks, if you wanna get more news from Zendesk, Premium Plus, Next Matter, and Internal Note. No spamming. We're just going to be sending great solutions like the one that we're presenting today. I'm going to leave this poll to play for a little bit, and I'm going to start now taking live questions. So we already have a few, and I believe that some have been marked to also be answered live. Thomas, I saw one from you regarding, let me see.
Channels, I assume.
Yes, thank you, channels.
Yeah, that's a recurring one I saw in the Q&A, that's why I highlighted it. For the demos today, we've shown email because it just works easier if you want to set up a demo, but both Copilot and Next Matter work across all Zendesk supported channels. So if somebody contacts you over WhatsApp, the web widgets, Facebook, Instagram, and the likes, that will come up in Agent Workspace, and the same flows will still work that we've shown today, but then over the web widget. Of course, when people click a link, that will open from the web widget in their browser. They fill in the form, submit the information, and they can continue in the widget.
Great. Thomas, I saw another one which was around the model, like the AI model, and about the intents. The question reads, could we train the model to define intents that are unique to our organization?
Yeah, so the procedures in Copilot do not need to be trained. So I gave the example in an answer, but if I create like a weird use case, like how do I make balloon animals? The moment I type that title and I write my procedure, the system will know that if a customer answers about that topic, it will give information. So you don't need to train intents, no training phrases. It just write the action and the rest will follow from there.
And Thomas, another one from Constantin, like assuming that the customer provides all of the data at the first email, like the order number, the image, and so on. Is it possible so that the process is smart enough so that we are not asking for this information again? Like, can we skip some of these if they're already provided?
Yeah, so if let's say you need the name, the order number, and the product, if the customer is the perfect, unique customer that provides all the information in the email, Copilot will just skip that step and go, well, it seems you want a refund, we'll handle that for you. If one of the pieces is missing, then you can ask it for the customer. And in the best use cases I've seen, you basically, for each piece of information, do a validation check. Like, is this order for the customer? If yes, do nothing. If not, then let answer bot or Copilot reply with, hey, it seems the order number is not of an order of yours. Can you double check, please? So it can skip and can do logic on that out of the box.
Great. The next one is for Michael. Michael, would it be possible to change the Next Matter automation name to an agent name, perhaps so that it makes it more personal on the end user?
Yeah, that is definitely possible. Right now, the user that has been connected to Next Matter's API, between Next Matter and Zendesk API, was called Next Matter Automations, but you're free to change this in the settings in Zendesk to whatever name you like.
Perfect. I'm going to carry on with questions for a bit more, a couple of more minutes. But before that, I just wanted to finalize with one more quick survey. So I wanted to launch another one. So if you did the one before, now you know how to also do the next one. So let me end the previous one, and let me share the new one with you all. All right, so this is more to see how we're going to turn webinar wisdom into action. Okay, you can carry on with the options that you want for after the webinar, and let's go to some more questions. So we saw about the integration. So is there a Microsoft Business Central integration? Maybe, Michael, tell us really quickly a little bit about the integrations and what are the possibilities there?
Yeah, sure. Happy to walk you through NextMatter's integration capabilities. So we have 3 types of integration in NextMatter. One is the native integration within NextMatter. As you've seen with Zendesk, for example, the entire experience is no code, and you can click together your API calls that you want to make, and it's very, very easy to use. Those include, for example, Microsoft Excel, Outlook, SharePoint, etc. Now, the second integration method that we have is through templates that we have already pre-made. Those are API calls that have been templatized already by our team. And the third is if you want to integrate with another tool that we've never integrated to before, you can set up your own custom coded REST API calls. Very, very powerful integration. Now with Business Central, I've answered the question previously already. We have the integration. There's a possibility to connect to Microsoft Dynamics and Business Central if it lives in the cloud, right? And if it's not a cloud-based Business Central installation, we'll need an API middleware to go through this. But in principle, yes, it's possible.
Thank you, Michael. Last famous words. Anybody wants to add anything? We are just run out of time. We will definitely follow up with the recording of the webinar. Also, in order to make it easier, more digestible content, we are going to send you the videos of the use cases separately. And as I mentioned, we have another use case for employee service. I see already a lot of you have asked for it. If you haven't and you change your mind, you can always contact us. Again, we are really, really thankful that you joined. We're really, really happy that this is coming to life. We wanted to do this webinar since we saw all of the positive reactions on LinkedIn after our hackathon. We want to do more. So again, thanks a lot, Mark from Zendesk, for joining us. Thank you, Thomas.
Welcome.
Thank you, Michael. And also one last thing, in April on the internal note, we're going to do also a more extensive article about all of these use cases with practical guides. So check the news also there. And it was great having you all here. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.